Did you know it's possible to have over 24 vehicles active in GTA Online at one time? Now, I've been asked this question many times, and I've asked it myself. We can only have one personal vehicle, but among all the service vehicles and other contacts we have, how many vehicles can we have active that we own at one specific time? Well, I decided to figure out the answer to that question, and let me tell you, it's a lot more than you think. So starting off, we obviously have our personal vehicle. Call up the mechanic and request whichever vehicle of yours you'd like to drive the most.
You calling for some wheels? I'm Johnny on the spot. I'll hook you up.
Now obviously this is our main mode of transportation and there's so many options here, just pick one. Following that, we're going to call the next obvious choice, which is Pegasus.
Hello, this is Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help?
Now you can get plenty of vehicles through Pegasus, and for this case I'm going to call the Dune since it looks better on a land picture. Now, the unfortunate thing with Pegasus is that it does spawn a little ways away, so you will have to go out and get it and bring it back if you want to put them all in one location, but there is some good selection here as well. For our third vehicle, we're going to go into the interaction menu and go to service vehicles. Now, you could call plenty of vehicles from this menu, but I'm going to call the MOC, and the reason for that is that the trailer technically counts as its own vehicle. In real life, a semi-trailer does need its own registration and paperwork, and a trailer is defined as an unpowered vehicle towed by another. But that brings our total to 4 vehicles. 3.5 if you don't want to count the trailer. Next, we're going to register as a CEO, and what this allows us to do is to go farther into the menu and call a CEO vehicle, which could include the Bodie, the Dune Loader, the Sanchez, the Super Valito, the Super Diamond, the Patriot, the Stretch, the Washington, the Shafter LWB, the Volatus, the Dinghy, the Rempo Custom, the Brigade, the Cognoscenti, the Buzzard, the BJ XL, the XLS, the Baller LELWB, or the Turreted Limo, which is what I'm going to pick today because it's the most unique of the list. It's also interesting to note that you can have 4 active limos at any given time. But we'll get back to that later. Next, you can go back into the service menu and get the Sparrow from the Kasatka. Now, you could obviously go with the Avisa as well, but I can't get that up here with the rest of them, so we'll call the Sparrow. The nice thing about the Sparrow is it does spawn directly beside you. Similar to the Sparrow in the service menu under the Avenger, you can actually request your Avenger Thruster. Now, I had to purchase this just for this video, so that was $1.25 million that I'll never get back. However, it does add to the count for this video. Next, we're going to request the delivery bike from the Acid Lab. Again, this spawns a little far away and requires you to be next to a road, but it's a nice little bike that you can easily access, bringing our total to 8. Going down to the Manage Vehicle section of the interaction menu, you can contact your bail office burrito. Now again, this requires you to be near a road and spawns a little ways away, but it's very interesting that we can call this as its own vehicle. This will also wrap up the vehicles that we can call via the interaction menu, and next we're going to head to our phone contacts, starting with Miss Baker. Now when you phone Miss Baker, you can request car service, and there's a selection of luxury vehicles including the Feltzer, Dubsta, Super Diamond, Fugitive, Windsor, and the Cognoscenti Cabrio. I'm going to call the Cognoscenti Cabrio because it's not a vehicle that I get to drive often. Again, this spawns on a road, so if you're on the beach or in the middle of nowhere, it might not spawn right next to you. But this finally puts us into double digits, breaking 10 vehicles we can have active at one time. Next, we're going to call Franklin, as you can request the company SUV as long as you have an agency. This is definitely a fancier vehicle with the Jubilee, and it has a unique custom plate, FCP1. Following Franklin, we're going to call Tony. Now, when you call Tony, you can request 2 limousines. One is the Shafter V12, which isn't much of a limo at all, or the Patriot Stretch, which counts towards your total of 4 limos that you can get. And this brings our total to 12 vehicles. Next, we're going to call Agent 14. Now, many people aren't aware that you can call Agent 14 to request a vehicle, but you can even request the Bunker Caddy, as well as the Vroos, the Manchez, the Granger, the Mesa, or the Zion Classic. I'm going to call the Caddy because it's a very unique vehicle that you can only get in this regard. Again, it spawns a little ways away, so we'll use the lifeguard to get over there quickly. Then we're going to give Dax a call. Dax actually allows us to request his Journey 2. He'll drop it off near us, likely on a road, and although I'm sure nobody ever uses this vehicle, especially from Dax, it's nice to know it's an option. Bringing us to a total of 14 vehicles. Our next contact is going to be Imani. Again, many people don't call a Monty for much, but you can actually source a motorcycle that's equipped with bulletproof tires. Now in this case, it'll just find a motorcycle in your vicinity, so it might be close, it might be far, and the type of bike will vary dramatically. Now following that, I thought, let's call Lester and locate a car or a bike or a plane or a boat, since Lester does have that ability. However, when you request a vehicle from a Monty, you cannot request a vehicle from Lester, so it's kind of one or the other. Either way, it adds one vehicle to our total count.
That's not gonna work. Not now.
Now you can either call the assistant or go into the CEO options under CEO abilities to request a luxury helicopter to come to your location. Now this luxury helicopter is counting as it is one of our own vehicles, however you'll have to steal it from the driver if you want to fly it yourself. Now this helicopter will land at predetermined locations closest to you, so in this case it's just a little ways down the beach, bringing our total count to 16 vehicles. Now similar to Lester, if you call Merryweather you can request a helicopter pickup. Now if you already have the assistance helicopter out and about, the Merryweather helicopter will not show up. However, it'll still take your money. Now if you request a Merryweather helicopter and then try and call the assistance helicopter, it'll say that you've already requested a helicopter and not let you call it. So it's one or the other in this case as well. Following that, we can go back into the interaction menu and call one of our RC vehicles, either the Nano Drone, the RC Tank, or the RC Bandito. Now as you can see here, the CEO helicopter does eventually take off, but we'll request that again. Now a big part that many people tend to miss when it comes to this count is the yacht. Now, some people consider the yacht to be strictly a property and not a vehicle since we can't drive it. However, for the sake of this video, we will be counting it as a vehicle as it is a water vessel that can be controlled and driven. Now, alongside the yacht, you also get some boats and a helicopter that spawn with it. For me, I only have 2 Sea Sharks, but for the most expensive yacht, you can actually get 4 Sea Sharks, which adds 1 yacht, 6 boats, and 1 more helicopter to our account, adding to a total of 25 vehicles. Now this is where I thought the video was done, but upon trying to spawn them again just to double check my count, I forgot about one more way you can call a vehicle. Now this might not be available for everyone, but GTA Plus members can request a vehicle from the Vinewood Car Club, and that'll add 1 more to our total, for a complete count of 26 vehicles. Now to quickly answer some fun questions, it's possible to have 4 active limousines at the same time, as I mentioned previously, but you can also have 6 active helicopters at any given time. On top of that, I did try spawning the anti-aircraft trailer so you'd have a saddler and the trailer as 2 separate vehicles. However, when you call this, you can't call any other service vehicles, including the MOC, so it would actually lower the count by 1. The only other way that you could improve this number is by potentially starting a mission and having more vehicles called via that, either a pizza delivery, Bobcat delivery, group sex delivery, or a Higgins heli tour or nightclub mission, as those all give you an extra vehicle. However, I'm not entirely sure if certain vehicles would despawn during those missions or be unavailable to call. So there you have it, 26 vehicles you can have active at once in GTA Online. Why would you want 26 vehicles at the same time? I don't know, but here's what your minimap would look like.